Hello, my name is Melinda Hart. You are watching Stamping with Hart. You can find me at stampingwithhart.blogspot.com. Tonight we are going to be making these winter theme projects. So going back to the annual catalog for this one, you can find the Beauty of Friendship bundle. And let me just show that to you really quickly here. Let me get these. So the Beauty of Friendship bundle is in the annual catalog. There is also a suite, and I am going to be using the designer series paper that is part of that suite as well. I'm using a different embossing folder tonight, but if you own that suite, it came with the bark embossing folder, which would be just as good as the timber folder that I'm using tonight. So I didn't realize that when I was designing my cards, but I just wanted to point that out. So I'm going to walk through just the products that we're going to be using tonight. We're going to have some fun with the embossing paste. This is the shimmery white embossing paste. Don't work with it all the time, but for winter, I definitely thought it would be a good one to have. So let me just go ahead and show you. I'm going to just pull out a little chart, but let me bring these up to the camera a little bit closer just so that you guys can see the details. So this one here, the Hello Friend and the Bird, is from a brand new celebration stamp set that will be launching on January 4th. I think that this is a perfect pairing to the Beauty of Friendship because of the sentiments, and I'll show you what I mean by that pretty quickly. So on Beauty of Friendship, which is in the annual catalog, we have Thinking of You, I Believe in You, Hello, Thank You, Friendship Refreshes the Soul, Friendships rather refresh the soul, and You Truly Inspire Me. And then on this one, we have Hello Friend, we have Hope You Have the Best Birthday, You Have My Love and Support. So the combination of these sentiments I think is perfect with this stamp set. And I'm going to bring this in just a minute, but let me just show you the cards, and hopefully you can see this. So I have the embossing paste, the shimmery white embossing paste on the branches to kind of give that winter snowy look. So if you're looking for everyday cards, you know, Thinking of You, Hello, Friendship, any of that type of stuff, support card, I think this could be a really good theme as we start heading into winter. Now here's this one here. There's a lot of dimension here. Let me see if you guys can see that. But yeah, so this is kind of that very full tree look here. And then we also have this one here. I don't really have a favorite. I love them all. But this was the first one that I made. So I was like, I want to kind of do a series. Like I wanted to do one of each. But here we have the tree, just the branches without the, this is like a filler piece in the dies that I used. And I was like, let's do one with and one without. So we have some embossing paste down here. So there's dimension on this card as well. Let me see. And you can see some of those branches do come up off of the card. So it's personal preference as to what you guys want to do in terms of making it flat to the card. You could do embossing powder instead of paste if you want it to be a little bit more smooth or flat. But I think that the dimension on these is really, really fun. I kept the insides of the cards really basic. So, you know, Hope You Have the Best Birthday. And then You Have My Love and Support. And then for this one, we did You Have My Love and Support as well. Especially at this time of the year, I think it's important, especially as we head into the new year, to let people know that we're thinking about them. This can be a stressful or trying time of year for some people. Winter can be, it's a very beautiful season, but it can be a little bit tough. So I think it's nice to kind of bring up these cards to let people know that we're thinking about them. This, the reason I wanted to point this out is just because of depending on the stage that you want to be at with your tree. Now, of course, if you want to do just stamped images and not dies, that's totally fine too. In this particular tutorial, we're going to be working primarily with dies. We're going to have the sentiments for the stamps, but we're going to primarily work with the die portion, and then I can do the tree stamps later. But this is the large tree, and that's what we're going to be using on the cards today, this die right here. And then there's also a smaller tree base, you know, with the branches. So I wanted to include that one too. So this is Sahara Sand cardstock, and this is just the die cut. And then this next step here is it's embossed and die cut, but I inked the embossing folder with Sahara Sand ink. So I took that timber embossing folder and ran it through. So, or, you know, you can do that first and then cut it out, which is what I happen to do. So that's what this looks like here. It gives it just a little bit more texture. There, you know, it's just kind of like stepping it up a little bit, but you can see this is perfect. I mean, if you don't want to do the extra steps, this is still going to be a really cool winter card. And then here we have all of the steps. So it's been die cut, it's been inked and embossed. So it's this. And then I added the shimmery white embossing paste to the branches. So this is the one that we're going to be working with tonight, just so that you can kind of see the steps. And then I did the same exact steps with the tree down here. The other thing that I wanted to show you was this piece. If you just do the white, okay, so this is the basic white cardstock. And if you wanted to do this, I thought that this, because of its pattern, looked a little bit on the snowy side. So if you want to do it like this, you can. I'm going to be covering this with the embossing paste. Okay, so you can see here, it's a little bit curved, and we can start to work that back to being flat again. And of course, you'll have adhesive on the back of it. But you can see, well, hopefully you can see that texture and that shimmer here with the shimmery white embossing paste. So it's a little bit messy, but it's so much fun if you like, you know, to create different seasons and themes with your cards. I have a new host code. Let me just mention that. So if you spend, I'll put the host code up on the screen in the replay. You can find it on my Facebook page and my blog. That I have it posted. If you're on my email list, I emailed it out to you on my email list, and it's from the 16th to the 31st. Anybody who spends $50 with me or more in the online store will get a free embellishment from me as a thank you for shopping in the end of December. So if you guys have any questions about that, don't hesitate to let me know. This is the card base where you cut your cardstock in half, you score it at the half, and then you have two card bases. I'll have details on my blog about that. Okay. Now I have a basic white cardstock layer here. All three of them have this exact template. And then we're going to use this designer series paper. This is what it looks like full size. I love these winter papers that they have in the Beauty of the Earth designer series paper. So if you haven't used it yet, or if you haven't brought it out in a little while, now is a good time. I used this in another video recently, and I thought, I'm not done with this yet. I definitely need to use this. Before we attach this, so these two pieces you can put together right away. And I think that Sahara Sand is a light enough card base that you don't have to worry about having a layer in there. You can just stamp right on in, you know, the inside. We're going to be using real red ink to stamp our sentiments today. So I'll set that over here. But if we're going to, and let me just get each card as we're working on it so you guys can visualize it here right along with me. So if we're going to be doing this one here, and we're going to be making some snow down here, we're going to put that snow down here before we adhere it to this base. So I did want to mention that because I did kind of rush through one of my card bases, and I was like, oh darn, I need to I need to put the snow on that first. So just something to be aware of. So I'm going to put this down now while we're kind of talking about it.
You're going to see a little bit of sped up sections of this video, particularly for assembly and adhesive. I'll be popping in some voiceovers here and there, and we'll have a little bit of Christmas music since we're so close to the holiday. But today we're going to focus mostly on the embossing paste.
We're going to need plate 4 and plate 1. All right, so, and it will tell you right here on the first plate, like what your sandwiches are. We need this one right here for our 3D embossing folder. I'm going to grab the timber embossing folder. Okay, and then we're going to grab our Sahara Sand ink and cardstock. Okay. The side that says Stampin' Up on your timber folder is what I'm inking. So I'm not inking the back of the folder, I'm inking the front. So this is kind of how you know where you can gauge where the front of your embossing folder is. And then you just run it through. And I didn't cut it to a precise size. You can certainly do that, but I'll use this Sahara Sand on other things. So let me just do that one more time. So I'm just gonna ink up my folder, and you don't have to be perfect about this because remember, we're going to die cut the pieces out. And if you prefer to cut your die cuts and then emboss, that's fine too. I did not notice it getting too smushed, so I thought it was fine. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of line this up and then close my folder, and then I'm just going to run it through one more time. I will say this is a perfect sandwich. The gray with the 3D folder and then the white base. It goes through so nice and smooth. Okay, so let me just get that in there. I'm going to crank that through. All right. And then our next step is going to be cutting out those trees. Now I did go ahead and cut some of them out in advance, but I'm going to cut one on the live with you. And then of course, if we need more, we could always go back, but I'm going to change up my sandwich now. So for anybody who is either new to the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine or you don't use it that much, we're going to need to do our die cutting plate 1, plate 2, which is a thin white plate. And then there are 2 number 3 plates, and we're going to need both of those. So there's one that goes down before your paper and your die, and then one that goes down after. So I'm just going to put this paper down. I'm going to put the die down. Okay. And then you can figure out, you know, which way you want the grain of the timber pattern to be going. I don't really think it matters that much, but totally up to you. And then we're going to run it through. Nature scenes are some of my absolute favorite cards to make, especially if I'm making a bunch. Okay. I just think that the Beauty of Friendship bundle or the Beauty of the Earth suite, both of them, so you can use them for all seasons. Fantastic sentiments, and the new Friendly Hello Celebration stamp set is such a good pairing with it. Okay, so here we go. And then here is our tree. Okay, so if you have your little extra pieces here, you can just pop those out, but you can see the dimension that you get on that folder. Let me see if I can move my lighting just a little bit. Yeah, so I love how this looks. Then the other thing that we would cut would be this in basic white. You would cut your birds in red, real red. So these are all from the same die set. All right, and I already have some cut out. So we're going to use those so that I don't take up too much time with the live, but it will cut both birds out at one time. I used real red for that as well. And then we're going to need a sentiment for one, but not for this particular card. So I'm just going to set that aside. The good thing about the silicone mat is that you can just wash this right away if you have any mess. Okay, so here are 2 that I did in advance because I kind of need these pieces to be dry for the card that we're going to make. So that'll be part of the fun of being on a video, right, and doing things in advance. So I'm just going to set these 2 aside, and we're going to do these together now. So we'll work on the first tree. You're going to want to work with there is a set of knives that you can purchase. I think there's 2 or 3 to the pack. And then they have either matte embossing paste or the shimmery white. And you can make it whatever color you want and use your re-inkers and all of that with it. And I think it's on page 128 in the annual catalog. I was making a mental note today for my blog, but I didn't get to finish it before I went live. Okay, so all we're going to do is basically cover the branches and get a little bit of snow in here. So we're just going to start small. You don't have to grab too much. And you want to cover up your embossing paste once you're done. But we're just going to start putting some snow on our trees.
This really is such a fun medium to work with on your cards. I highly recommend trying the embossing paste and the palette knives. The one tip I wanted to show you, and you can see here, is I'm scraping any excess paste off of the back of the die cut. And the reason is you want it to be nice and flat back there for when you put your adhesive on it to assemble on the card. The front, it's fine to have the texture, but for the back, you really want to make sure it's nice and smooth so that you don't have any problems laying it down on the card. This is going to be a dimensional project, so just make sure you know you're going to be using extra postage for this one, or pop it in a gift bag or a box if you're sending a care package to somebody. They're really going to love these cards.
Okay, so it is starting to dry already. I'm going to leave some of my branches loose. If you want them all flat, you can glue them down. I'm going to leave some of mine loose. Okay, and then let's see. We're going to do a little bit more embossing paste now. And we're going to kind of create that snowy mound. All right. Is anybody, let me know whether you're either live or in the replay. Is anybody experiencing snow yet? I know that it's starting to snow in some places. A friend of mine who lives in Washington State said that they're getting snow. Okay, let's see. We do not have snow here yet. So I kind of took like kind of a just a dab. I don't want to say like a spoonful. That's not exactly right, but here we go. A dollop. How about that? A dollop. We'll pretend like it's whipped cream. Okay. So we're just going to kind of create a snow piece here. Okay. And then I didn't want to make it like perfectly straight because snow is rarely perfectly straight. Let's see. And then I put a little bit extra on the tree trunk. Okay. And then same thing, you're going to check the back. Just make sure that there's nothing on the back that would prevent that from being flat once you glue it down. And then I'm going to give this a minute to dry. So we'll stamp the inside while we're waiting for this to dry. Okay, there we go. So the new embellishments are the iridescent rhinestone basic jewels. These are so pretty, just depending on how you catch them in the light. I thought they would be great for the winter cards. All right. So this may be a little bit damp, but I'm going to try it. So I'm going to use my tear and tape adhesive for this. I'm going to set this, because it's going to be face down, I'm just going to kind of set this on my silicone mat. Okay, so let's go ahead and add our little red bird. I would say a cardinal, but it doesn't have its little mohawk on the top of its head. And then on the original card, I just kind of popped it up here over on this side. So I'll do it on this side, on this tree. And then same thing, I just kind of took a glue dot. You could do two if you want a little extra adhesive. This should be fine. The branch is dry. I'm just going to prop it on the branch. Okay, and then we'll finish off with our embellishments here. So I'm going to use the smallest ones. Just kind of put them around. Really, really pretty. And then here we go. So that is card number 1. For card number 2, same card base as the previous one, where it opens from the top. So again, we're going to keep our layer separate. We're not going to glue it down yet because we are going to be adding some embossing paste around the edges. But what we're going to do is we're going to take our tree that we just covered in snow and we're going to cut it in half. So I'm just going to literally cut it in half. And then we just need that little snip right there. Okay, and we're going to turn it into 2 branches. Okay, so just turn it into 2 branches just like this. And we're going to get our little bird, but we can go ahead and get our branches in place. And then I'm going to use my Memento because I'm going to color with the Stampin' Blend. So I'm going to be using my Memento Tuxedo Black ink. This is a safe ink to use with your Stampin' Blend markers, alcohol markers, so that they won't bleed or smear the ink. Doesn't matter where you position it because you're going to cut it out. Okay. And then we're going to use Poppy Parade Light, or no, I'm sorry, Poppy Parade Dark, and then Cherry Cobbler Light.
Okay, so I just wanted to let you know that you can get pre-order items, brand new catalog items in your starter kit. And I have a link to the starter kit below if you're interested. This is a great way to get new products ahead of the launch, January 4th, 2022. Celebration items are not able to be put in a starter kit, but you can get them with your first demonstrator order.
So on this part here, we're just going to add him in. I used mini dimensionals to add the bird, and then you can just position him wherever you would want on your branch. I kind of like him near the hello friend, but we could always go low too. That's cute. So I'll just do a slightly different positioning since it's a new card. There we go. So we're just gonna, same as the other project, we're just, oops, I knew I was gonna do it, right? We knew I was gonna do it. So we're just going to check the back and make sure that it's going to lay flat, that there's nothing back there that's going to prevent it from laying flat. And then I would just give this piece a second to dry. So I'm just going to set it down on my silicone mat and let me close this back up again. Okay, there we go. All right, and while we're waiting for that to dry, we can start to put together the third card. So this will finish up in just a moment. I'm just going to set this aside for a minute and let's move on to our other card. So where the other 2 cards opened, you know, top to bottom, this one's going to open this way. All right, so this is our Thinking of You card. And, you know, I have a nice big fat Christmas tree here, and I was thinking to myself, it would kind of be fun to do a big tree that's just covered in snow. So that was what I was trying to do with this card. And here we go with this. Our layers can be put down, no problem, because we don't need to do anything fancy on this particular layer. And this is also the different pattern. So this is kind of those winter trees, that watercolor tree look. So I'm going to put these down first. These are the pieces that I already did in advance, and like I was saying, they can look a little curled, so you can just kind of gently work them flat again because they get a little damp. The cardstock gets a little bit damp when the embossing paste is wet. And then what we're going to do is literally just layer them on top of each other, one by one like that, to make a tree. And you can decide, you know, where you want that to sit, but I just thought that these were really nice and spaced out, and it really did look like snow to me. So we're gonna put some mini dimensionals. All right, and there we go. So let me just bring in each of my cards. Oh, you know what? We have to finish up that second card that was drying. So let's just do that really quick, and then we'll be done with our live. So I'm going to set this off to the side just for a moment. And this should be dry. I have little dimensionals sticking to me. Okay, so same thing. Because I have a little bit of dampness around the edges, what I'm going to do is, you can see I've made a little bit of a mess here. Just going to set this down gently, and then we're going to add some of the tear and tape adhesive so that we can secure this down. And then we have these here. Okay. All right, so here we go. Some nice winter card ideas with that little pop of red. If you happen to still be working on Christmas cards and you are looking for those last minute ideas, this could easily be a Christmas card theme too. But I have kind of, you know, moved past the Christmas card phase. And now we're kind of working in those thinking of you, care, concern, hello, friendship mode, because I think that, you know, as we get into the winter and as we go through the new year, this is a really great time to reconnect with friends, send them a note if you happened to have not sent them a Christmas card, or follow up with another card, you know, in January or February, and it could really make their day. I feel like even though I make cards, I feel like I don't send enough out. I don't know if you guys feel like that too, but it's something that I really want to get better at, especially after the year that we had. It's important to me to get those messages out to people, even if I don't see them very often, which I feel like I haven't seen anyone in a really long time. So I hope that you're all having a wonderful weekend. I know we're pretty much at the end of Sunday, but I wish you all well getting your last minute Christmas stuff together. I will see you again. I'm going to check the date here. I am planning to do my live on Thursday as long as Patrick's schedule permits it. I'll have to double check the times again because, of course, he's in retail and they have those crazy retail hours for Christmas. So that's going to be on the 23rd. I'm planning on going live on the 23rd at 7:30. And if I have any issue with that, then I will let you know. But hopefully, cross fingers, we'll be able to do a really nice project and hang out and relax with each other right before the swing of Christmas Eve and Christmas happens. So I hope everybody has a wonderful evening, and I will see you again on Thursday.